Good evening, everybody. It's 6:30. Today is Tuesday, May 21st, 2019, and it's a regularly scheduled meeting with the Township Board, Marquette Township. John's ready for the pledge, so let's join him. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Try not to cough your ears off tonight, too. Randy, roll call, please.
Trustee LaRue,
Here.
Trustee Marks,
Present.
Trustee Everson,
Here.
Trustee Wiegand,
Here.
Treasurer Johnson,
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Gerard and our legal counsel, Roger Zappa. Is Jason staying for the meeting, Randy, tonight, or no?
No, the item he was going to bring up tonight, we're deferring to the next
Okay.
meeting. The zoning package is in here, that's a carryover from last discussion.
Okay. And committee members present is Mike Springer from Planning, Recreation, and Roads.
Thank you. All present and accounted for. Any public comment to start out before we start our meeting? Just regular public comment? Nothing? Okay. So we can take off board member response. And I'll read the consent agenda tonight. This includes approval of the regular meeting minutes of May 7th. Checks in the amount of $133,265.65. Our committee reports, you may notice that we did pull out all of the draft minutes and agendas, put them on page 2. So tonight, this is just reports that we can approve. And then this will be the same way going forward. Sheriff's activity report for April, Fire Department activity report for April, Planning Department minutes of April 24th, Road Committee minutes of April 2nd, Recreation agenda for May 21st. There'll be a budget amendment in here we will read shortly. Randy will read 2019-03. Financial statements from April and treasurer's report from March. Also correspondence from Marquette Township, or Michigan Township Park Plan. County Solid Waste Management Authority letter that we presented to them about the non-support of their recycling plan, and our monthly or bi-monthly charter communications franchise fee. In this case, it's a payment, so that's a good thing. Any approvals for me?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's a roll call.
Oh, that's
there's a
right, because
budget
you have to read it. I just said that.
Okay, I'll comment on the budget amendment 2019-03. It's quite simply, it's for the special election coming up in August. It's a $4,000 expenditure that we had to add into our general fund that will be reimbursed after the election. Treasurer Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee LaRue,
Yes.
Trustee Wiegand,
Yes.
Trustee Everson,
Yes.
Trustee Marks.
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes, and Supervisor Durant.
Yes,
Motion carries 7-0.
thank you. Then unless there are any changes on the remainder of the agenda, rather lengthy, I need another motion.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. No conflicts of interest that anybody's told me about. First up, privileged comment is National Trails Day, Iron Range Roll, Mike Springer, and Party.
Okay, I'll get that up for Mike.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing Rec Committee to be part of the privileged comment tonight. So we're going to talk about National Trails Day. This is something that we've been doing in the township since 2007 when we celebrated our first National Trails Day at Schwamwood Park. And we cleaned things up and laid down wood chips, and we're quite successful with our first one. we missed 2008, but in 2009, we continued cleaning up the park. We also tried to do some landscaping and build some natural bridges there. And then in 2010, we had the Boy Scouts over there. We also set up a little booth where people could come and visit and learn more about the Recreation Committee plans. And this is where we're going to move from this. We used to have these little small gatherings, and you can see from this picture, they're either planning commissioners or board members in there, but there's a few local supporters too. But so what we decided what we wanted to do is to actually have a trailhead, and the property next to us, adjacent to us, actually had access to the trailhead. So back in 2010, we actually cleaned up the park, invited the Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund to come and look at our park, and had support from the Iron Ore Heritage Trail and some local people. And with that, we were able to actually purchase that property. And this is another celebration of National Trails Day. This is on 2013. So there's three legs to recreation. One, you have to have a place to have activities. So you have to acquire property either through conservation easements or some type of loan. The second thing is you have to build some kind of amenities at a park that attract people to use that particular park. In this case, we have a linear park, and its amenity is this trail that connects all these other municipalities. The third leg of the stool is programming. You should have events going on at your parks that utilize the property you purchased, utilize the amenities you built, and invites the public. And so that's what we moved to. This is a celebration of some of the donors that helped. There were $16,000 or 40 individuals, committees, and organizations that donated, along with the support of the board, to be able to acquire that. So in 2014, we found our programming. A new event called the Iron Range Roll was going to run on National Trails Day. So the rec committee got involved, and Pete LaRue actually went to a meeting with me years ago back then. And so we've been supporting this every year because it's a big program. It involves our park, and it also involves other municipalities, because a trail park is different than any other trail, any other park. And the fact that it supports a trail and those trails connect beyond our municipal boundaries. So in 2014, we had our first Iron Range Roll. And here to tell you about the Iron Range Roll for this year, Mr. Eric Walters, and you're going to introduce Dan. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. I won't need that.
Oh, you don't need it.
No, I don't think so. Thank you for having me. So this year's Iron Range Roll is our 6th annual. We will be exclusively a bike event this year. Last year we had a few running events. Logistically, it just didn't make sense for us to continue with that, so we did streamline and just do an all-bike event this year. The race starts at Cliffshaft Mine Museum in Ishpeming at 1 p.m. and we'll follow the Heritage Trail down to finish at the Marquette Commons, going through a variety of municipalities there. Working with a variety of different emergency personnel along the way to make sure that we do have a safe event. Last year we had 245 racers, which was our largest in history, which was really wonderful. And with this race, it's benefiting the YMCA of Marquette County. So the more people that we can have continuously doing this race as a benefactor to the Y, the better. So we just wanted to kind of come and talk about this race and really thank the township for their support overall. By far, the township has been one of the biggest supporters of this event, and we truly thank you for doing that. We also like to present with questions too, in case there is anything from last year that you had concerns about that we could address. So I don't know if there was anything that you had for us in the line of concerns or anything.
Some questions with regard to the road crossings. and how you handle those. It's been an ongoing concern, I know, of the rec committee.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you go around that?
Yeah, so we effectively have a total of about 130 volunteers we need for this race because we cross so many municipalities and so many roads. We are covering our emergency personnel by having one of the streets, the main streets, closed in Ishpeming from the police officer, Ishpeming Police. We have the state police at M35 and 492. We have the sheriff's department at 492 in Schwemmwood, and we also have the city of Marquette in McClellan and Washington on those intersections. And then we also, for the rest of the city of Marquette, are covered with the cadets. So we're covering as many bases as we possibly can. We also have, per our permit with the city, we're actually doing a volunteer planning meeting the night before, which is May 31st. So all of our volunteers have to come in and have the emergency meeting with one of the officers from the city. Oh, and then just for transition here to Daniel Crone, he'll talk about the benefit, or the benefactor with the Y.
I promise my portion will be a little bit shorter. Thank you again for having us, and I just wanted to briefly talk about what the Iron Range Roll funds go toward. It's put on by the group Connect Marquette, which is a group of young professionals here in Marquette County, and all of the funds, this is the 6th year, so in the 5 years previous, we've raised just under $20,000, and all of that has been donated to various youth programs at the YMCA. So it's gone toward, it had been the Reach and Rise program, and then it had gone to Lake Superior Village, and now it is broader base YMCA youth programs in Marquette County. So, with your continued support, that's what we're trying to do, is just give back where we can and, keep the race going for many, many more years. So, thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
Here, Michael.
Thank you.
You can bring that.
Any questions for Mike or his associates? I know the safety was the big thing that was in the past. Thanks for bringing that up, Dave. Okay. Next up is consider the request of KBIC gas station expanded use. And we have the tribal president and county commissioner with us to enlighten us.
Good evening, everybody. Joe DeRocha, 1746 Fish Lake Road, Champion, Michigan. Here tonight primarily to speak about, as Lynn just described, reintroduce you to the KBIC community, President Chris Swartz and Vice President Gary Lunsfoot. Before I get started on that, a couple of things off topic I'd like to just address to the board here at Marquette Township. I applaud your efforts wholeheartedly in the letter that was forwarded out to the Solid Waste Authority. They need to have a financial plan. They need to get a strong message. We have all of Marquette County to be concerned about, not just one or two entities. They need to get it in order, and they need to have fiscal responsibility for all of the Solid Waste Authority in Marquette County. And again, I applaud your effort in the letter you have written. Also, I'd applaud these gentlemen, they're gone, to the recreational piece. That's huge, and it's becoming huge. And I invite you to come and make a presentation at the county as well. I think your efforts could be broadened through and through with other municipalities as well. And you run through my 7 districts, so I'm certain that discussion can be had at a later time, but thank you for your efforts. Okay, moving forward on why we're specifically here tonight, I'm hoping that we can have an open dialogue and be open-minded about the medical marijuana and where we're at today and how we got here. Everyone, whether we agree or disagree at where we're at, and me personally, not a marijuana guy, I never was. Publicly, I'll say I voted against it, wasn't for it, but medical marijuana has a purpose, and the people spoke and the people voted in Michigan. And sometimes we don't get our way, and we have to live with what the majority of the people want. It's democracy. And we all have been, whether it was on the pros or the con side of that item. And tonight, there's an opportunity to have, I think, a relook at it from your board's perspective of how it can benefit your community, and are you willing to, I guess maybe I would ask tonight to, at the end of this discussion, look at proposed work group, or maybe look at how you can protect your community and also support your master plan with the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. And it's here now. It's law. And in Humboldt Township, where I'm from, I helped them. They were the first township in the whole Upper Peninsula to get a medical marijuana license facility. And that's going to generate significant revenue for that community. It also repurposed the facility that the township had in a reuse, and they made $500,000 at the sale for that facility upon going into private hands. So the tribe is looking as, and I'll let them describe what it is they are going to pursue, but they currently have real estate in many different locations throughout Marquette County. One of them is Negaunee Township, one is down here. They've got a really nice filling station facility, convenience in your commercial district with de-acceleration ramps and all of the things that your planning required for them to do. And I think they've been good stewards to the community. They're looking to broaden their horizon for their community as well as yours. And I just would like you to consider having some type of work group with your elected officials on how something could be structured, one, to protect all of the residents and also allow what's already here and what's already coming. It's no secret that you had a facility in the township, and I believe it's closed now, but it operated for many, many years here. Whether that was legal or not, and how we get there. We also have a Walmart, we have a Target, we've got a Walgreen in Marquette, and they're going to be having medical or repurposed oils and products that come from the marijuana plant for medical purposes. So how are you as a township going to control those items, and how are you going to move forward, whether for or against, and the tools in your tool bag that you need to use with zoning and all of the other things, how are you going to protect your people? And I'm hoping today that you will move to have that discussion and create a work group and put individuals on that work group that will get you a good product that's good for the township, good for business, and good for the community that have supported you. So if you have any questions, be happy to answer. And if not, I'd introduce President Chris Swartz. Also, if you want me to just touch on some of them.
You got the mic, Joe.
Okay.
That was your first mistake.
There could be some benefit from this. The tribe has looked at what type of community benefit and dollar could be put up to help, whether it's the recreation plans, whether it's the general fund, and they can get into specifics, but I think the early onset proposed would be, there could be a 1% of the gross sent to the township for its recreation funds, or whatever the township, similar to something that the gaming does, but outside of that, it'd be a separate entity that would support things in your community that you need to be funded to help in your community from your business that's already existing here. And I know other townships, as you go to the west, Negaunee Township is all about reaching out to have those businesses come to Negaunee Township. Humboldt has already done that. I'm not sure where Market City lies as of today, what their plans are, but with revenue crunches, I'm sure everybody's going to be looking to enhance their, financial portfolio for sure. So I guess I would let Mr. Swartz and Gary talk about Mr. Loonsfoot, their plans, or hopefully you can move to start a dialogue in that direction for some type of ordinance and zoning. I also have a lot of material that I could get over to Randy or Jason. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. If it's something that you can propose to work on, it's already been invented. And then you, as other communities have done, is tweak, bend and fit it to protect your community. So I'm hopeful that we can have that dialogue and help both local business and move forward in the health, safety, and welfare of your township as your master plan shows. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. My name is Chris Swartz. I'm the president for the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, and we conduct business at 16429 Beartown Road, Baraga, Michigan, 49908. And first of all, I want to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you commissioners for giving us the opportunity to stand here before you and discuss a possible adventure moving forward. As Joe had mentioned, we are considering getting into the medical marijuana business. The Keweenaw Bay Indian community also has a responsibility to its citizens, and we take that seriously. Oh, fire. Is that in this building?
No,
Oh, okay.
we're good.
Where was I? Oh, and the Keweenaw Bay Indian community also has a responsibility to its citizens, and we take the general health and welfare of our community's members serious also. With that, a number of years ago, the community had taken a look at its business portfolio and decided that we had to do something different to diversify our portfolio, and we couldn't depend for the next 7 generations on Indian gaming. So the community, what they did is they proposed a referendum vote and put a referendum vote out to the community members of the Keweenaw Bay Indian community on whether or not they wanted their leadership to move forward with medical marijuana, growing, selling, the whole 9 yards related to medical marijuana. That was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, possibly 4 years ago, I think, now that I remember. Was it? 2014, 4 years ago. And the community passed that referendum vote. I think it was 52-48. I don't remember what the correct numbers were, but with that, we sat around, and now an opportunity is presenting itself in Michigan again. Michigan is certainly looking forward to regulating medical marijuana, and we want to have the opportunity and working with the county of Marquette and creating a regulatory, not a scheme, but regulations on how we're going to move forward and regulate medical marijuana. With that said, I think there's an opportunity to create a win-win situation for your community and our community. I think there's enough money in this business where we can share it, and where Joe had alluded to, there's an opportunity where we could share in the revenue somehow, some way, depending on how you guys put that together. We're not looking to come in here as an Indian tribe looking to do this. We're looking to do this same way we did with our gas station over there, is fully comply with the laws of the Marquette Township and moving forward with that. So this isn't something we're looking to do on our own. What we want to do is do this under your blessing and continue to work under the laws that you guys are promulgating if you choose to go that route. Joe had said that in an effort to move forward and discuss some of the particulars and the details related to this is to form a work group, and I think that is, that would be our request too, is to form a work group and see if it's feasible and see if that's the way we want to take the Keweenaw Bay Indian community in partnership with Marquette and doing some of these things. I'm open for questions. If anybody has any questions, maybe I'll give my vice chairman an opportunity to say a couple of words. He has been tasked, I have tasked him with this responsibility. So he is up to snuff. He knows a lot more of the details than I do. Gary?
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me. Gary Lunsford Jr. I'm a Director of Cultural Resources for the Kuna Bay Indian Community. I'm also Vice Chairman. We've been doing a lot of research on this, and you know, it is coming to our neck of the woods. We have the blessing of Marquette Township, but we honestly would rather have our business here where we already have a business in a building that's already stick-built and ready to go. It's 4.3 miles down the road, and that makes a world of difference to us and to you guys. We would be purchasing a grow, enacting 3 Class C licenses through the state right off the bat. That's 4,500 plants to start with. We would be purchasing 10 licenses, so we would possibly be growing up to 15,000, supplying everybody downstate because majority of the grows are down there right now. And we would like to operate our own dispensary here in Marquette. And what Joe was alluding to with some of the numbers, the 1%, I've toured several facilities lately, and $40,000 is a very modest number for a day's worth of sales. At 1%, you're looking at $400 a day. That translates to $2,800 a week, and that translates to $145,600 a year. That is just a figure we're kicking around, but you know, that would be something that we would definitely, as Chris alluded to, there's enough money in this business for everybody. So I think that would be something that, you know, we're talking about your trails programs here, and I mean, that would be funding that could go towards that, anything you guys wished. And, you know, like I say, if it's not us, it's gonna be somebody else that comes in and does it. And we have a great working relationship. I just think it's something that, you know, we should get on board with, at least have a discussion about. And I would love to work with any work group that you guys form. Want to be totally transparent. We're very transparent with our people right now. This is up for a referendum vote because we will be investing up to $4 million into this project. So, you know, whether it's in Marquette or if it's in Nagani, we would, like I just said, we personally would rather have it in Marquette. So thank you very much for your time. If you guys have any questions for me, I'd be free to answer them as well.
Gary, can you just define to the Marquette Township Board, you're not interested in trying to grow in Marquette Township?
No.
Just simply a dispensary provisioning, it's called a provisioning license, to provide a product at a retail. Not, what he's talking about is in a completely different area and a completely different location when you talk about the grow.
Yeah,
You're not looking
grow
for that
versus,
here.
no.
You're looking for provisioning only.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to let the board know.
Any questions, Pete?
You're talking about manufacturing another area, package it, and bring it over here.
Yeah. And transporting it, yes. That's
And
a separate
transporting also,
license.
yeah.
Transporting is a separate license.
Right.
You know, and like I said, we've MedTech, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, they're the second largest medical grow in the nation. They're looking to buy property everywhere around us. Pfizer, you know, the Coca-Colas, if you will, they're all coming in and getting into this. And I think we're in a unique position to where we can apply for these licenses that are very absorbent. I mean, it's $48,000 annually for one Class C grow license, $60,000 annually for one dispensing license. I mean, these are not going to be mom and pops. These are going to be monsters coming in to do this. So we are the small guys. We're the little guys getting into this, and we're barely able to get into it. But you know, it's something that we have to do. Gaming over the decades has seen a decline. You know, everything is on the decline except for medical marijuana and future recreational. I mean, it's an explosion if you look across the U.S. And right now, Michigan has 294,000 card-carrying medical marijuana holders. That's the second largest market in the U.S. So we would be providing most of the dispensaries downstate because, you know, there's only one here in Upper Michigan. That's in Hancock or Houghton, Michigan. Yeah, so, yeah.
What kind of
So, I mean,
security do you have on something like that?
security,
Yeah.
10-foot fence, barbed wire, 64 security cameras. We'd be hiring our own security guards, and we would have surveillance as well, monitoring them cameras. My father is an ex-corrections officer, worked here at Marquette Branch 24 years, and then moved to, worked there and then Berga, and he's volunteering. He's, sign me up, I'll come to work. There, we have many employment opportunities that, you know, we're looking at hiring 45 people right off the bat. And that's just in the grow. From where we're at, we're an hour and a half away from where we plan on growing, and an hour and a half from here, hour and 20 minutes. Majority of our employees are gonna be from this area. And, you know, we wanna put out the best product regardless. You know, we will have a major facility, a compound, and we're just looking for something here to dispense. And that's down the road a little bit, so.
Bernie?
Where will that be located within the gas station area? Will it be a separate building or within that station, or? Yeah.
We're kind of looking at that. If it's approved, if you guys do feel that we could do business there, we are not even sure if we'd continue to operate a gas station. It would probably be far more lucrative to not associate with the gas itself. Definitely have to lose the liquor license, that's gone. You know, that's a no-no. But I think the benefits far exceed that of just a gas station.
Your original plans did have you possibly expanding to the east, so that's what I was envisioning, that there'd be a separate part.
That's always an
building.
option, because, you know, we're also on the Anokasing board, which is the oversight. It's an independent board from council that is oversight of the day-to-day operations of the gas station. We are definitely looking at, would it be beneficial to continue to operate at a gas station? You know, with Meyer and Powerhouse is moving in across the street, you know, it's hard to compete, you know, and they're hiring people at $14 an hour. You know, our grade, grade 3 starts out at 10, you know, it's hard to compete in that kind of market, selling the same product that they're selling cheaper across the street. But this is something that is original, something they can't sell across the street, and we're hoping to get into that.
Have you done any type of a traffic study as to what you may foresee traffic coming and going in that location at all? Do you have any idea at this point?
Just when we did the gas station and we did the,
Well, we did some traffic study counts on the gas station, but this is certainly a different business. It's going to be the first business in town, and I expect traffic to just come in when it's opened. We're in the minor infancy stages of this project, and some of these details that we're talking about haven't been really fleshed out, so to speak. But you're right, Lynn. That is in our plan at Anacosing Inc. is to expand that gas station, and that was the plan, to expand it to be able to provide other services there. And at this point in time, we were thinking, or at that time, it was maybe like a little side deli or something at the time. But I mean, since then, we've taken a look at it, crunched the numbers a little bit, and we ain't just got the traffic count that's coming in now to help support that. So, I mean, it's hard to make a dollar over there with Meyer moving in across the street. And, you know, we thought being the only gas station on the right side, that was gonna help us out. But I mean, obviously, there are other dynamics in play here in Marquette County, so.
I'd like to answer Ernie's.
Sure.
Can you go up to the microphone, please?
Oh, yes.
Anybody who watches this on YouTube.
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry.
why we need the mic.
Ernie, Randy sits on the corridor alignment board as well as I did back in the day when the gas station was approved. There was deacceleration lanes, there was individual in and out lanes for that specific reason, high traffic volume. And I know those, I don't know them off the top of my head, but I know there were numbers put to that as to what that's going to be, and they were quite significant. And I believe those numbers certainly wouldn't be exceeded because they were vetted pretty properly, as I recall back in the day, right, Randy? I mean, if you recall, I don't.
Current volume.
Right, it was quite involved, right?
It's not a turnabout, but it's actually a little like for short, for lack of a little better.
Yeah,
Yeah, we call it a pork chop for short there when we come in. I think it's the only pork chop coming in that I'm aware of, so. Any other questions?
So does this end up, do you actually have a pharmacist? Do you have, like a real pharmacy?
Actually, they're called bud tenders, and there is a national training right now. And if approved, part of our profits would go to our community college, which would train our growers, cultivators, and bud tenders for future employment, and that would be a requirement. So, we're looking at giving back to, our community in the form of scholarships, anything from this, we want to use to make the business better. Yeah, nationally, they are training. There's a handful of companies out west where everything started that are training people to recognize what specific strains, if THC is even involved, because we're talking CBDs now, which contain no THC, which is the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. CBDs are basically a byproduct, and they were weeded out years ago, but now they're making a resurgence because we're realizing that they do have a lot of medical benefits. And we plan on getting into that field as well. And they're topical creams. It's not all smoke. It's edibles, creams, bombs. And that's what you're really seeing at all these drugstores now is a huge resurgence in that. And they're looking to, a lot of people are looking for alternatives to opioids and painkillers. And, we're seeing that where we're from as a big, a positive, a push for this. We all approve medically assisted treatment when it comes to opioids, and that means prescribing other opioids. Well, if we're going to say we're going to try everything, then let's try something that isn't opioid related. And after 6 studies have shown a 26% decrease in addiction. So states that have enacted medical marijuana have seen a 26% drop in addicts. So, that alone should make us want to try. And that's one of our pushes, but we're not going to candy coat it. We're in it for the money too. There's $52 billion industry. It's only growing. It's literally and figuratively growing.
But more importantly, we're in it for the health and safety because we've taken a look at some of other states that have approved medical marijuana, and what has shown, the data has shown that those states that have approved medical marijuana, the rate of usage by young adults and teens have gone down significantly. In addition, the opioid dependency, like he had said, has went down 26%. So there is a lot of medical benefits that help patients live a good life again. You hear about Charlotte's Web, you hear about these seizures, you hear about little kids who are having 40, 50 seizures in a day. And they take a little bit of this CBD and they put it on their tongue. And immediately, they're able to live a good life again. They are having seizures. They're not having these 40 seizures a day. In fact, there are some stories out there that says they have been cured and they're only having maybe a couple of seizures a month. And then when you're a young kid and you're a parent and you're seeing your young kid not having seizures and be able to live a productive life, that just brings a smile to a parent's face and seeing their children actually becoming a productive person and actually able to play with the other children.
And that also leads to population increases in these areas as well. When you look at Colorado, when you look at Washington, they are seeing people moving there, to pursue the health benefits that their state doesn't offer. I just read a story, there was a couple in Kansas that got arrested because they were planning on moving to Washington to get their kid this medicine. It was crazy.
I've been to Denver, Colorado a couple of years ago. And Denver is one of these states that have approved medicinal use of marijuana. And it's just alarming to see what states and cities are doing with this money. When we came down, the first thing we toured was their health facilities, their hospitals. They got 4 brand new hospitals in Denver, Colorado. State-of-the-art thing because they don't know what to do with all the money, and they are able to take that money and provide it to the services back into their people. So we're all looking for a couple of extra dollars to help with the services of the people. And some of this money is being used for exactly those purposes, is to shore up the services of local municipalities and cities. And now it's a great place to live. They've got the health services they need. They've got the police services. They've got money for the courts. They've got money for their recreational activities. It's just a win-win situation for us. So that's what I see looking forward.
Direct answer to the pharmaceutical, absolutely. Pharmaceutical, it's tested. I can speak to the current facility and the proposal of what their referendum vote, if passed, will do in the future. That facility has tested pharmaceutical product. It gets also, Northern Michigan University has plant chemistry currently, and they have that class filled. They get 50 calls a day on people trying to take that class. Currently, some of the applicants or individuals that are enrolled in that are being funded by this facility, that they're talking about purchasing, and those are local chemist jobs in plant chemistry that are coming out of Northern Michigan. So absolutely, it's pharmaceutical grade product, and
you know, and there's even a carve out for states and tribes in the 2018 Farm Bill. I don't know if you're aware of it, but there is some monies available for states and tribes in the 2018 Farm Bill for research, specifically what we were talking about in the hemp program. So there are other states and tribes that are taking advantage of the Farm Bill and being able to research it. And I don't know if Northern is doing that or not.
well, there's a current pilot program. They issued licenses. Actually, I think the window closed already. If you were in the window of opportunity to apply and get a license, I think you physically had to show up in Lansing. There was a 7-day window to fit that pilot program, and there's numerous places throughout the Upper Peninsula that are being involved in hemp production, which would be massive farming on a grand scale. And hemp does not have THC product in it. There's no high remedy in that, but it creates an abundance of these oils. So the state of Michigan has allowed this pilot program for these hemp pilot farms to set up. So that's currently been done, and that's moving forward. And I think I know there's some in Marquette County. I'm not sure if any are in Marquette Township or not. I don't, if you've got any licenses. And that was a state regulated. I don't think there's any zone for that. It would be no different than planting potatoes or carrots or that's unregulated, right? That was done by the Farm Act. That was just several weeks ago.
John?
In listening to the presentation that's been made, I think Commissioner DeRocher and his colleagues from the tribe are primarily simply proposing that we consider forming some kind of a working group with them that are willing to team up and talk about all of these subjects and see if a value is early on, if we have that kind of involvement, that will result in a control, a more regulated control of the subject that is well misunderstood. They're inviting our interest in participating in establishing a working group. That's all they're doing. And if that interest is present, that action will follow with intelligent evaluation of all these other subjects. That has a lot of merit. That's simply making an attempt at seeing if the township has an interest in teaming up to further have that group discuss and come back, whether there's merit to it. That's all.
Dan?
It-
Sorry, John.
We can discuss the other things and we can go off on tangents, but the point is, I think that's an honorable invitation on their part, and I hope that we'll honor it.
Dan?
Well, I concur with what John is saying. I think there is a lot of merit to it. I think there's a lot of benefit to medical marijuana. I personally know 3 people that are on medical marijuana, and it has helped them substantially in their lives. And I think we're just now breaking the tip of the iceberg on where this can go and what benefits there are to it. People are just so afraid, oh, marijuana, that's taboo. I think there's a lot of benefits to it, and I personally would like to see it move forward and work to find out how we can get in on this and help so many more people out there. So I'm for it myself.
Anything down on this end? I'm going to ignore you guys. Well, this is a presentation. It's not really an agenda item, but I did, when Joe called me initially, I said, well, this is very timely because we're going to schedule tonight a work session to talk about marijuana in general. Then this can be part of the discussion whenever we discuss that or, schedule it. But we'll come up with a date.
Chairman, could we get that in a form of a motion to create a work
It's not
group?
an agenda item.
Oh, it's not an
tonight.
agenda item
Yeah,
tonight.
this is a
Fair enough.
privileged comment.
Thank you.
But, so at some point, we will have a work session, and those are open to the public, too. It's not
Perfect.
a private meeting or anything. So we'll set that date, whatever works with our calendars, and then it's an agenda item. We won't make any motions at the work session, but it would come back to the board then as an agenda item.
I would like to make sure that they know of the work
Yeah, they
session,
can
and
stay or-
I think they have a lot of
Let me know.
information they can give us and help with our decisions. Appreciate your
A
comment.
lot of research.
Sure.
One of the big issues, and I feel it, and it's usually a topic of discussion, is the regulation. We met just today with the Department of Justice, and they were talking about a meth bust recently. And in that meth bust, the guy is going to prison for also having, what was that other drug in there? It wasn't just meth, it was that one that's killing everybody with just a little microdose.
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl. That was found. I mean, that is around here. What we're proposing is a product that is regulated by the state, tested by the state, printed on the package. It's basically what you need to know, what it is, everything is there. Being regulated takes away the black market. And it makes us, like I said, the cost of these licenses, it would be unfair to what they were having, growers that weren't licensed supplying these places, and you don't know what you're getting. With us, you would know exactly what's coming through the door. And it would be it would have a state stamp on it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much,
Thanks for the
guys.
Thank you,
information.
guys.
Appreciate it.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you,
too.
Chris.
Thank you. Dave, good to meet you.
Chris.
Hey, good to see
What?
you.
Chris?
Good job.
Seeing you.
We just have to approve the working.
Yes.
Okay, staff reports. You may know or not know that our fire chief is out of the city, out of the township, and he's doing some training for new chiefs. He won't be back till another week or so.
Yeah, he's at the National Fire Academy, and in recognition that he was going to be out of town for this meeting, we had transmitted all of the reports to you previously by email.
We got a ton of them. Public Works wise, we don't really have anything going on.
The main issue we've got going on right now is dealing with the water table, dealing with the flooding that's going on in the township and elsewhere, and the construction projects that are going on that we're monitoring.
We haven't heard anything from the Lahilliers as far as I know.
Today.
Oh,
He's
really?
gonna
Okay.
be coming to see me tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. All right. If I need to help, let me know. I know some of that's staff stuff. Dave, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, we haven't heard anything on a firm date to see the asset management program product.
That, I am following up on that because, obviously I've been out of commission here for a little bit, but following our last meeting, I did request both the Superintendent of Public Works and the staff planner, that we're working on it, to put together an information sheet for you that the board had requested. I did not see it here in this packet, and I didn't know if you'd received that yet. So I will be following up with them tomorrow on that. But I did ask them, following their last meeting, to provide you with that preliminary information before you scheduled your work session.
Okay, should we, okay.
One last comment there,
Sure.
this was supposed to be done January 1st. So I don't think it's expecting too much that we should have had a report by now.
Okay.
Can there be a deadline put in place to make sure we have it? I mean, do we just keep, yep, nothing happens?
We should have something before the next meeting, and if we
We
can
should
get
have.
it.
Well, it's been, yeah, and basically
Look
what they're
at
gonna do
it.
is a summary, it's been submitted, the water has been submitted, the data for the storm, or the sanitary has been submitted, and it's due to be finally submitted to the state by November of this year.
That's the sanitary?
Both. The total asset plan.
I just think it would be nice to know when we're gonna finally see a product out of that. If you recall, this whole process started because we couldn't put a life expectancy on our pipes that are in the ground, and we didn't have any kind of a program in place to start scheduling replacement and start gathering funds to put away for that replacement. And that's why this whole thing started, and that's been a year and a half.
Well, if we schedule a work session, that gives them a date, and maybe the work session is next week. So that pins them down to getting the information to us if you're looking for something more timely.
Yes.
That would encourage us to have a date, not waiting 2 or 3 weeks. If we want to try to do this next week. So we can talk about that when we get down there. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. Assessing, we did have a request today from the Township Business Association to see the list of the tax tribunal participants, I'll call them. Anyone who's gone to the tribunals. A couple of you missed the meeting today, but I did email Dulcie already and asked her if she could provide us with a simple list of those who have gone and had their taxes reduced, and that doesn't have to necessarily mean just the tribunal. That can be anybody who's come into the office and then brought in their as-bills and had an adjustment made. So basically a name, the loss of the dollar number, a loss for the township, and the loss for the county. I think that's just a plain, good old spreadsheet that we can understand. What she gave me was 11 by 14, and it's about 7 pages, and it has all the detail. If you want to see it, I'm happy to show you. But it has all the detail for every entity on all of the tax bills in the county and how much money they lost. And there's a lot of zeros. It's pretty pathetic. But anyway, the Business Association would like to see that and share it with their members, of course. So I think, if, like I say, we get the name, the dollar loss for, Menards, Lowe's, AutoZone, whoever it is, and have the list and have all those dollar numbers. I think that'll be just a good worksheet for us to have and hold. Pete?
Do we have somebody going down for the June 12th or 13th assessing meeting? There's one in Houghton and there's one in Escanaba. One's on the 12th and one on the 13th.
Dulcie's usually down in Lansing, at least.
Well, this is for board members and that.
That's for assessors and board.
Oh, the emails we've been getting?
MTA, yeah.
I can't get away. I don't know about anybody else.
Is Delcy going down for that?
No.
No?
No, she's a level 4 certified, so
Okay.
there's no point for her to go. Basically, those training sessions are geared more to general law townships that don't have full-time staff, that the elected officials have to make some of those decisions. It's to give them basic information with regard to assessing, not necessarily professional level.
Because as it stands right now, the supervisor's still the chief assessor. And they're, based on what they're doing and what they're changing, that's shifting around. Communities are having to go out and hire.
They're only the chief
commercial
assessor if they're
contact.
qualified for it, though.
Oh, yeah, I don't mean for me.
No, I'm just
I'm
saying,
just
if
saying.
they're not qualified, then they're
Right.
not the assessor.
Right, but
And
a lot
that's
of
what-
small communities, they have to be.
And that's what these training sessions are geared more to, is to the supervisors that are basically functioning as the assessor in general law townships. We're fortunate here because we've got, Dulcie sits on the tax commission, representing it, so she's a level 4 and Janelle's a level 3, so, we're well above
Well, last
that.
time they had it, they were down there teaching it.
Yeah, and they teach it here. In fact, the community room is booked most Saturdays every month for classes that we do here for assessors.
Attorney report.
Well, with the change of the seasons, your legal issues kind of change too, compared to what you have cropping up in the winter months. A lot of easement issues, as you know by acting at the last meeting, we had the Semco easement, just the temporary one that was adopted. We've also had a number of easement issues come up with the road construction that will be coming up this summer. Specifically the connector links. There were a couple of loose ends that needed to be addressed on the easements that will be leading to the tunnel. One of those was just signed, I want to say Thursday or Friday of last week. And there's one more that is just in the works, that's not quite complete. Also, taking a look at preparing a template for trail use licenses on township property where the township may not want to issue an actual easement, but grant temporary permission that's revocable at will for various types of recreational purposes. And that's been put together. You haven't seen that yet because I just put that together yesterday. We've also had a couple of FOIA requests that have come through. We had one inquiry from a resident about a road abandonment issue from 1977 that really, upon some further digging, didn't involve the township in any manner, but that wasn't apparent until we had a discussion with the resident's attorney. There are a number of potential zoning issues, not just zoning, but also possible violation of other township ordinances that your township planner and I met with one day last week to discuss various options of addressing those with the least effort and expense, but the best result possible, and the various stages and steps. The township planner doesn't have a lot of history in that particular in some of the alternatives that are available to him, so I have prepared a detailed checklist, step by step, of various options and opportunities that can be applied in many different circumstances, not so much for the zoning violations, but more so for your township ordinance enforcement of a non-zoning nature. We also had one minor question on a stormwater management ordinance submission by a business, and that pretty much summarizes at least what comes to mind since I gave the last report.
Thank you. Excuse me, because Randy and I had met twice now with two of our commissioners, besides Joe, and I wonder if you mind telling him don't want to talk if I can help it. Just give them the highlights.
We met with the two county commissioners that now represent Marquette Township. If you recall, in the last redistricting, Marquette Township was split into two precincts. We now have two separate county commissioners, Mr. DePietro and Mr. Adamini. We have met with them twice, basically to talk about issues that are occurring at the county level that may impact the township or townships in general. And we've been seeing them in the paper before we hear about them from the county board. Spaceport is for instance, that has some significant impact on the region. Issues with the expansion of the county jail, overcrowding, some of those issues that are going to potentially be millage type issues that could conflict with millages that we're asking for or looking at, road commission issues, issues of those sort basically. We've just started having these dialogues, and we've set, what was it, the third Wednesday?
The Thursday before our second meeting.
So
we can give you an
the third Thursday of the month as a regular meeting that we would have with them here, which would be available to anybody who wished to sit in on, but primarily to get a rundown of what's happening at the county level, let them know what's happening at our level, what we can do back and forth to help each other. We talked a little bit about the dark store issue with Escanaba and Menards, and what it may take from that case to benefit others like us, if there is any benefit to be had. So a general discussion, basically, but a first step in terms of having an open dialogue with our county commissioners.
What time do you meet and where do you meet?
Meet right here, basically, and what was it, Lynn, 10 o'clock?
June 20th
10
will be the
o'clock,
next
the
meeting.
third Thursday of each month.
And that way we can get the stuff to the agenda if there's something to share with you before the next Tuesday meeting. Thanks for that, Randy. Next is community linkage. I asked Randy to give us an update on where we were, which is also in the packet, of our structural planning. Let's see if I've got my spreadsheet here. But there's a few of them that we were able to take off. We are able, I scratched them off of mine already. Because it's things we're either gonna decide or have decided. In fact, recreational marijuana's on there. We'll do our scheduling for that meeting. Planning Department office, that's already done. The succession plan, there's an insert in here. So some of that stuff we've kind of already talked about. I don't know if you want to go through them, Randy, just one at a time, or if somebody's got questions, or...
However the board wants to deal with it. Doesn't matter to me.
I think they're pretty well explanatory.
I just wanted an update. We talked about this 3 months in a row, so I said, all right, might as well make it 4 and keep everybody up on what's happening. Things happen so fast around here that if you don't...
I guess, a couple of the highlights, basically. We're not getting anywhere with the first one on expanded storage in terms of trying to locate space nearby. Everything that we're coming up with that's available is pretty expensive or it's fairly distant. What we're trying to do is to look to the future about what our future space needs may be to try and accommodate that now. So we're not having a whole lot of luck with that at this point. On the emergency power, I have met with JP Electric, met with them last week. They have completed all of their study work. They've concluded that we need a 30 kW for our peak, to meet our peak demand, which has been happening in August, which is our peak demand when air conditioning is running and everything's going on in operation. There is a potential that he told me that we may be able to acquire a slightly smaller generator that's being removed from another project that's been well-maintained and that was used as a backup generator at a significantly reduced cost, and he's supposed to get back to me on that this week as to whether that's available. That'd be, I think it's a 27 kW, I think it is, but he said that would certainly be sufficient to meet the majority of our needs and the guarantee of keeping the server available to the fire department and those kinds of things, and may only fall short in a hot August time when everything's running, and at that point then we could isolate certain things by circuit breakers that would keep us within its range, which may make sense for us. Now, the majority of the time we won't need the 30 kW, but that information should be back to me possibly yet this week. The succession plan, the Public Works Supervisor position was advertised. We did have response from it. I do have candidates. We are targeting an August 1st fill date. Kirk and I are in the process right now of finalizing the matrix, the comparable matrix, and establishing the interview questions. He and I will conduct the interviews here within the next couple of weeks and be prepared to make an offer. All of the candidates are licensed engineers, so we are meeting that criteria. So we'll be evaluating them with the matrix in terms of their experience and what they've done with that license. With regard to my future, that's something the board will have to determine. Depending on where we end up in this process, that may not be until next year sometime. So at any event, that's in process as well. As Supervisor mentioned, the staff planner move has been completed. We are looking right now at the community room, the audio-visual. We have some internal differences of opinion of what may be necessary as opposed to what may be wanted from a budget standpoint. So we're working through that right now and should be ready here pretty quickly to move on that. The 5 acres at Schwemmwood, I was not at the meeting where you discussed that. My understanding is that the board did give direction to market that property, and we do have 2 individuals that we're talking with that are looking at that piece of property for development. Let's see, what else was there? Fire department weekend shift. The chief is out of town. Now we'll be coming back next week, and we are targeting the June 4th meeting to bring some proposal and some potential costs to you for your consideration at that meeting. Let's see, with the Office of Security and handicapped access, everything that I've looked at indicates that is a very large financial investment involvement, no matter what you want to do. Simple things like changing the doors to the push button for opening, I mean replacing all of the doors, all of the casements, and the electrics that go with it. So there's no simple fix.
Watt generator.
Yeah, well, there's no simple fix, and realistically, when this building was designed, it was not designed as a secure facility. So, we have drywall walls, we have glass everywhere. So to make this a secure facility similar to what occurred across the street would be a very large investment. So I'm not sure, we're still looking at options, but I'm not sure how far we can go with that.
How about just the main 2 doors so the public can get in? How would that be? They don't necessarily need to get into the, the conference room, we could open the door, but if somebody were to come in and, nobody's
Well,
paying attention
to make the offices accessible, it's the main entry doors, and then it's the doors going into the office,
Right, so there's 3 basically,
restroom doors,
okay.
and access to the community
It isn't
room.
easy.
And access to the community room, so there's a
And-
minimum of 8 sets of doors that would have to be done.
And until you have permanent power, you aren't going to open these mechanical doors.
Correct.
So I said we'd need a 40
So,
kW.
why don't we just put it off till we can afford it?
Well, it is, and Homeland Security does have a manual, and I've gotten a copy of the manual, I've downloaded it, and it has lesser things that you can do, so I'm not sure where we can go on that, but it's a sizable dollar amount.
Wasn't there another township that just going through this? was something-
Attempting to, yeah, they're looking at it. Simple things like putting, the security glass around the entry. There's a lot of places, City of Marquette just did theirs, they did a $5 million renovation in their facility, and part of that was for security. So, let's see, what else? The rec master plan and acquiring property, there's board action that's required, and that would give us direction to go forward and do that, so. Other than that, any questions the board members have?
No, I think we covered it pretty good.
Thanks. Okay. Next up is 8B, discuss the 2020 US Census. It was a meeting I attended, and I gave you 2 pages of notes out of a gazillion, but you've got an idea of kind of what we need to do as public officials. Whether you agree with the census or don't, or think that you're not going to get counted, or you don't care, or you want to go hide somewhere, this is the law. So it is our responsibility, like I said, to do what we can to educate the public. And because this is in the packet, at least it gives everybody an idea of what happens. Every 10 years, everybody in the country is counted, hopefully. And apparently, one of the reasons they're honing down a little bit more and trying to get more participation is there were 1 million children that weren't counted in the state, I believe. And that really affects how much money is apportioned for social services or the schools, the milk program. I mean, there's lists of all the different things that are affected by the census because that data is used extensively. It doesn't matter if a developer's coming in, a traffic study, whether you build a new school or a new hospital, whatever data everybody uses.
How many
is based
representatives we
on-
have?
Exactly. It's based on the census information. So it's important that when either the phone calls or the canvassers or the actual ballot comes around, the questionnaire, to encourage everybody to participate. Some of it's a little bit, it's unnerving to answer some of these questions. I asked if we could get a sample, and they said that the questions aren't determined until right before it's printed, but they're basic ideas of, do you own or rent your home? They want names of everybody in the household only to account for the number of people. Because some people don't pay attention. If you've got 4 or 5 kids running around, you think, oh yeah, okay, there's 5 of us. Oh, there are actually 6. And that's probably how some of these kids got missed in counting. People, whoever filled it out, didn't pay attention to really how many are in the household. So now they've zoned it down.
Are you implying that somebody answering the question wouldn't have any idea how many children they?
Apparently so. Or they felt that the information would get them in
Big
trouble.
trouble, and we should
Yeah.
avoid it.
John, what they found out that there are so many thousands of people in the cemetery who voted.
There's that.
Yep, that too.
But that I can understand, but
Those
I
folks are
can't
really
understand
tenacious.
Sort of a dead
a
issue.
woman answering the door, not knowing how many children she has.
Some of them have a lot.
Well, you know, and
Thank you.
the bigger debate nationally is how are you going to account for the immigrant populations that are coming in? Because, you know, they are drawing services, you know, and it's a cost to the communities. And that's one of the big debates is, do you ask the question or not? Are you here legally or not? You know, and I mean, you know, there are occupants in this community that are not counted as residents that are drawing services, significant services almost every day. You know, so how do you account for that in this type of account where you're talking about grant funds and you're talking about availability of revenue sharing, you're talking about all kinds of things from the federal and state level. So I think that's going to be the big debate going forward is how and who do you count?
They just want to be more accurate, because one of the issues that they discussed that day was people living in here and then also in Florida, and they're answering the census in both areas.
Because it's by address, so they're trying to find out who and how many are in each household. The flip side to that, or the other side of it is, they will be looking for part-time employees as well. So if you've got college kids or, you know, stay-at-home moms or whoever wants to be, you know, retired and they want to be a canvasser, be in the office, be on the phone, be part of the mailing group, this doesn't happen until April 1st. So they've got $675 million just for the count. in the state and 54 million for our region, which is the Chicago region, and right smack in the Midwest.
Well, if the reason we're talking about the census is to encourage accurate information to be conveyed, that's one thing. But the issue itself, I don't think this township board is gonna do a damn thing about it.
They
Other than passing on
The information.
need for
Yes.
accurate information.
They did.
So why are we even spending any time on it?
Because they are asking public officials to be in the foreground of informing and educating their public. As public servants, that's part of our job, is to educate the public, and this is a federal program, which makes it even more widespread. So they encouraged us and gave us a huge packet full of information, and even my questionnaire, I said, this is way too much stuff. They want us to form little work groups and bring in librarians and fire people and business owners and school teachers and board members and homemakers and retired people and form these little committees of how to educate the public. So, as the facilitator, that's my job, is to let you know what's expected of us. Whether we do anything or not is always up to us. But this is the information we got.
I think we know.
If you want to just throw it away, that's up to you. So, I've done my part of it. Any questions or concerns? Very good. Discussion on ad hoc committee recommendation for the succession plan. Randy touched on this briefly just a second ago. David asked last time if there was going to be something in writing. I'm not exactly sure if what you were looking for is what I provided, but this is kind of a timeline of what happened. If you have any questions of Randy or me.
Well, I guess I may have been at a different meeting,
Okay.
but
Maybe I
my understanding of the charge to the ad hoc committee was to make recommendations back to the board. And it seems that we have somehow, the ad hoc committee has okayed something that they didn't have any right to okay, in the pursuit of, I mean, the ad hoc committee was the recommendation that the manager would use the guidelines that he has in place. Okay, but there was a
Board
couple.
agreed with that.
There was a couple changes. Okay, the board agreed with it by consensus. There was a couple changes made to those guidelines, and one was to require the engineer license. And the guidelines were actually changed, and my question was at the time, it's been for a couple of weeks, aren't those changes, don't they require a board motion to make those changes to that form?
I don't know. Randy's saying no. It's the job description. We had made recommendations to make additions to the job description.
Well, it's not even really an addition to the job description, basically. What,
More of a
the
clarification.
two items that were discussed primarily was the board's desire to have the position filled with a licensed Michigan licensed engineer. The existing job description makes that a strong preference already. So all that we did for this vacancy when we advertised it was to say that even though the job description has a strong preference for this vacancy, we are wanting an engineer, because that was the preference expressed by the board. So that did not change the job description. The other item that was in there was a supervisory clarification, basically, with regard to the superintendent having more control over field operations as opposed to a crew leader, which was basically a grammatical change in the general description of the job description. So those changes, if they want to become permanent, would be required to come back to the board, particularly if you were going to permanently require an engineer. So that would come back, it would have to come back to modify the job description, but at this point.
That is my question. If it was the recommendation of the ad hoc committee that we make those changes, then those should be back at the board to make them with a motion. And actually, we took the Michigan Professional Engineer's License was referred to as strongly preferred, and we've actually changed it as to required.
For this vacancy, you may not always
Right.
want that.
That's the way I understood it, too. That's why we did it by consensus, that we were just giving the manager direction. Those were the two criteria we wanted for the superintendent. If you want to do, we can change the job description if you want to. Or, I mean, you can make a motion to do it, or, if you want to go that direction.
The job description was the job description for the superintendent of public works, true?
Correct.
And it was the recommendation of the ad hoc committee to change that job description, to require a license. If it's the recommendation of the ad hoc committee to the board to change that, then the board needs to act on it to either change it by motion or say, no, we don't like that idea, let's leave it the way it was. But that takes a board action.
Correct.
The board never acted on that. And that's all I'm saying is the board needs to act on that.
Yeah, and the actual process that would be followed in that regard under the classification compensation system is that I would recommend that to the personnel committee would bring it to the board.
However it needs to be done, it needs to be finalized right now, it's nothing more than an ad hoc committee recommendation.
Right, and that was the consensus that we got to remember, this is Randy's employee. And if we direct him to do something.
I understand all that.
Right.
All I'm suggesting is the job description for the superintendent of public works was changed. We need to formalize that change, or how can we leave it changed?
We
That's
don't
correct.
have to formalize it, is the way I
If-
understood it.
if-
That for
if-
this position, we gave him that direction.
The
If you want to
simplest,
finalize it, we can.
the simplest solution to this would simply to have the personnel committee schedule a special meeting, consider the job description, and bring it to the board at your next meeting.
Please do.
That's what you want, that's
Support.
totally fine.
According to my notes, we talked about one time about the engineering part of it, salary and non-union member, make that position.
Making the position salaried, yeah.
Right, and non-union.
No,
You can't make that non-union.
The other thing we talked about at that ad hoc committee meeting
You can't remove
was
that.
in the manager search
Bargaining
criteria.
units, yeah.
And it was the recommendation of the ad hoc committee that we use the current criteria that was in place, but we needed to elaborate on how that search would be conducted. Was it going to be through the Township Association? Was it going to be through a headhunters? And it was a recommendation of the ad hoc committee to add to that description as to how it would be, how the search would be done. And I guess I just thought those things needed to come back to the board, and the board needed to say yes or no on them, because they were only recommendations from the ad hoc committee, and that was it. That's why I kept nagging you for a report.
No, I get that. And I've given you two big documents, and apparently that wasn't the answer.
The question is, are we changing the
understand it
description of the qualifications for that particular job? By
Yes.
adding engineering, are you changing his description?
No.
We have not yet.
You never had an engineer in it before, have you?
Oh, yeah.
That particular-
It said preferred.
It specifically states that a Michigan licensed engineer is strongly preferred. And we're simply
Strongly
saying,
preserve is different than saying
and
that
for this
you want one.
vacancy, we're saying we want it. That's not just strongly preferred, we want it.
Then you're changing the description of his job.
No.
Yeah, you are. If you're just saying you strongly, and then now you're saying we want it, there's a
That
difference.
provides the option for your recruitment.
Well, there's something in there that you can change from salary to non-union to,
Yeah, and basically what it amounts to is the board, in your discussions, indicated for this vacancy, you wanted the licensed engineer so we can minimize our contracting out for engineer services. So it's more than strongly preferred for this vacancy.
And I guess that's what I'm saying, is we keep saying for this vacancy. This is not for just
This week.
this time that we replace the superintendent of public works.
That's the way I
This
understood
is
it.
for every time we
Okay.
replace the superintendent of public.
Well, but that may not be the case, because you may hire a professional engineer as your manager next time, and then you don't need an engineer in public works.
We were trying to give, my understanding was we were trying to give the manager some flexibility in hiring for this position. And then we have to still have the discussion for Randy's succession plan, whether that's for him or we finalize it in the job description change, or if, however we proceed with that. Because a lot of the discussion was, we were talking about both at the same time. And Randy was giving the recommendation that maybe at some point that could be one person. That's where I think we got disconnected.
But
What was
you
wanted.
have to understand, that is the way your classification of compensation system is structured. It is to provide you flexibility in your staffing and in your structuring of your organization. And if in the future, say, if I retire next December, next May, whatever, and you decide that you have a candidate for the manager who is also a professional engineer, and the person you hired as a superintendent of public works for some reason doesn't work out, you may not want to have to pay for a professional engineer in that position. You may want something different because you already have a professional engineer in the manager, so it provides you that flexibility. In this particular case, we've been contracting outside for professional engineering services, and now that you are going to have a vacancy, you wanted the engineer in the superintendent of public works position. So that's the flexibility that you have within that structure to do that. It does not change the compensation, it doesn't change the benefits, it just changes the mix of qualifications that you're looking for this particular time in this township.
So the question is, does this board want to change the job description to require an engineer for the superintendent of public works position?
Yes.
Personally, I don't. I don't
We
have
have
a
to
lot
see
of
the
reasons
reasons
for that.
for and pro,
Does the board want to change the job description for the superintendent of public works to require it be an engineering degree position?
At what level engineer? I guess Randy said they are an engineer. At what level, and what description of the?
How can we know that?
It can always be changed back, too.
It can.
It doesn't make any, if you want to do it for this time, fine, we'll do it. And I think it should be for this time. If we want to change it back, if there's a change for the township manager, then we can change that, too. But we're beating a dead horse.
Why do we want to continually worry about changing things? If we have a document that's in place that allows that to happen, why would you want to lock yourself into it? John?
The reason we got off on this tangent all started 7 or 8 weeks ago when the manager said, I've got 2 people who I'd like to recommend that some group of the township board sit and listen to my presentation and then come back to the rest of the board and tell them whether it's worth pursuing. That's all it was. The 2 positions that he was talking about, having 2 people, and we have to be extremely careful about protecting them, even though they're retired, or even though they're working. But the point is, I tried to emphasize this at the meeting. The only mission that the committee of 3, not the ad hoc committee, but the committee of 3 had, the only mission that they had was to listen to that presentation and come back to the board. That's why people have been asking over and over again, why hasn't something come through from the group? And the group of 3, at least 2 of the group of 3 have been saying that the supervisor said she was going to give us a report. Now, we've done all of that, and we've rehashed it, and it's been mishandled. But that's beside the point. That's behind us. We have heard about how the engineer
Turn your mic
position
on, John.
should be.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, you already started over again?
Sorry about that. We've heard about how the engineer's position should be filled. We haven't heard one word, as far as I know, about replacing the manager. And if we learned anything from this quagmire that we've been put into without a report, is that we should be working on whether we've got the date of the manager's retirement or removal.
Retirement sounds better, John.
We don't have it, but we should be working on how we're gonna handle it, or we're gonna be in the same damn position over again with the manager. And it gets even worse because the manager is in a poor position to recommend the replacement of the manager. So I think that we need to give some thought to, I really don't think it's so badly done on the engineer. I think that can be sorted out.
Yeah.
It's not all that bad. But I do think that we're really at risk by not taking on the manager's position and giving some real thought to how I don't care if it's even the manager himself recommending things, but I think we need to get something down on paper as to how we want it to be handled. Either that, or if you have a serious problem that comes up, and I hope it doesn't happen, but we could have a serious problem where you got a problem that's overnight. And we'd be in a very bad spot if we hadn't given some serious thought to how we're going to replace the manager.
We should put that on a work study and then pick a date within a month or so and discuss that.
Okay, but
We need to talk about it.
Exactly.
We just haven't done that, and we don't, and God help us, we're not going to have any more session of 3. We're going to have a board get together and talk about it as a group.
we couldn't, if you remember, because the candidates need to remain anonymous.
They don't need to be brought up by name. You can
In this
just.
case, it did, John.
Yes,
In this case, it did. We needed to bring it up by name, so.
that was the whole point of this.
In light of time and everything, we're going way off and we're talking about the manager. Let's just focus on the superintendent of public works and move forward with that. And I do have one question on that.
Oh, jeez.
Why does he have to be union?
The entire group, the professional administrative group, petitioned the state of Michigan and were recognized as a collective bargaining unit, including the position of superintendent of public works. So you do not have the unilateral ability to remove that position from the bargaining unit. You would have to petition the state and have a hearing.
He would have the option to opt out, wouldn't he?
Yes.
No.
Yes, he would.
They're not in a they are a standalone organized association, not affiliated with a national, that's been recognized independently by the state of Michigan.
All right, so where do we want to go with this? I'm happy with what's happening. We've got 2 candidates that,
We have 4 candidates.
right, sorry, we've got 4 candidates, they're in place. They know they've got a degree. I mean,
Leave it up to Randy.
I thought we were giving him.
Yes.
With regard to the manager's position, I'm having so much fun with this, I may not retire ever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I may
that's what I was
not.
gonna
It's-
say. He
You only
hasn't
got one
even
bad
given us
arm.
any
So, yeah, I
notice.
really, most of me is still here, but, you have, basically, you've got 2 options. One is you can very easily go to the existing recruitment policy that I follow and that I'm following for the Superintendent of Public Works, and you can simply insert Township Board in place of manager. And it lays out a recruitment process and a timeline. Or you, as a governing body, can make a decision to say, we're not going to spend the time to do that, we don't have the expertise or whatever, and contract it out to somebody like Michigan Municipal League, any number of places to secure for you a candidate that meets the criteria that you establish to bring back to you a pool to consider. I mean, that's pretty much as detailed as it has to be. And you don't have to spend lots of time, when I was hired and when my predecessor was hired, the board established 3 members that were the recruitment committee that did everything. They did the recruitment, they did the interviewing, and they brought back a recommendation to the full board. You employ the manager. I employ the rest of the staff.
Ernie?
I think we're way offline. Are we getting back to the point of the job description for the superintendent of public works? An engineer, do we have to make that change or not? Do we want to make that change? We have to decide on that.
Apparently, it's in there already, Ernie.
It's in there, but making it permanent. What we're saying is, it has to be. We're not giving them the latitude of that at this point.
Yeah, my recommendation to you is the existing job description gives you the flexibility to either require it or not require it, depending upon your situation. In this particular case, this board has said you want the engineer because you want to minimize contracting out.
Then let's move
Can't we
forward.
just let it go? Yes, no,
Move forward.
Yes.
let it go, just with what's happening. Thank you. What do we want to share?
Committee share.
What do you want to tell us, Pete? Anything, or
He
who's?
looked like he was getting ready to utter a few words there.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say something
Spark
about
the
the
wisdom.
chairman of the planning commission or something like that, but.
You want to talk about him?
Yes.
Should we
I
ask
would- I
him to
would.
leave?
No. I'm just saying, that, not the right time, but before he leaves or something like that, but, he's always involved in everything, and he does a great job in it. We get a lot of pictures you've seen tonight, all the pictures of our committees when we're working, he takes the pictures, but he's never in them, thank God. And, but I just wanted to thank him for that, and knowing that tomorrow is his birthday. So if you see Mike Springer tomorrow, wish him happy birthday, all right? All right.
Happy birthday tomorrow, Mike.
Thanks.
That's nice. Go ahead, Dave.
The May 8th
How are you
committee.
going to top that?
Well, I need one more thing about committee events. The
Okay.
committee event, we got rained out on the cleanup, so the new one be Saturday, June 22nd, 10 o'clock in the township office here. We'll have a little safety, talk, and then we'll proceed to Schwimmen Park, and then we'll have lunch at the Lions Field. After probably about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, something like that. So the new date for the cleanup is June 22nd, and we'd like to get people from the public to come in and help us out. Be here at 10 o'clock, and we proceed from there. Did I say June 22nd at 10 o'clock? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we got it. Dave?
I'm done.
Okay. From the May 8th commission meeting, there was a special use public hearing for short-term rental for 1650 Granite Street. The applicant was Lynn Matson, and the special use permit was approved. There was a second public hearing for a short-term rental for 290 South Vandenboom Road. The applicant was Gregory Tim. and that special use permit was not approved. We have a scheduled public hearing tomorrow night for a special use permit for a short-term rental. The address is 230 Huron Woods Drive, and the applicant's name is Ann Jackson. That's going to be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. The road committee, we're working on a final draft of the transportation plan. We're looking at approving, we have a work session tomorrow night to go over the comments on the final draft. We're looking at approving the transportation plan out of the road committee on June 4th, and it should be at the planning commission on June 12th for their consideration. And tonight's recreation committee meeting will be reported on June 4th.
Anything on roads?
That was roads.
Oh, yeah. I wrote it all under planning. That's okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Committee appointments, we don't have any. We're good, except for events. We could always use events help. Hey, Pete?
Yes.
Absolutely. I thought I had your flyer for the car show. I must have left it on my desk. I was gonna hold it up for John.
One thing about the events, that we don't know if we're gonna do it or not, but we're trying to get some sort of a card or something like that, or a bookmarker with all the events for the whole year. And then so people will be aware of what's going on. We put a date on it, and a car show's coming up. We have this car show on June 15th here. After that, we got August 3rd, Community Days, Christmas, November 26th. We have Santa Claus and the lighting, and then hockey in January, February, weather-wise, but we're trying to come up with something different so that the people know that there's something year-round for us. And we could use some more help in some of these things, so.
And you usually meet once a month, right?
Once a month, yeah.
So it's not a huge commitment if somebody wants to volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay. So next is the draft committee reports, and we had a discussion at the last meeting, as I mentioned before, about pulling out these and keeping them separate. So we're gonna keep it under the organizational performance, just so it doesn't look like we're approving draft minutes, because we could get into trouble with that, because the draft minutes could change. Roger gave us an example last time about how it was an absolute opposite of what the intent was.
Right, and this also gives the public an opportunity to know what's being discussed at the committee level prior to them being approved.
So that was in there for your information. Well Roads Parcels Zoning Map Amendment, first reading. What do we need on that?
I think we just need a motion to accept that as the first reading and move it to the second reading.
Yeah, I saw Jason, so I thought he was
So moved.
So moved.
This-
Second.
lots of support.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, schedule a work session to discuss asset management progress. So if we're looking for a quick answer, let's make it maybe next week. What's your schedule, Randy, next week? After 3? Any certain day, or?
Oh, well, I go back,
Sorry, wrong
his
Randy.
schedule, wrong one.
This guy's got the scheduling.
Well,
Remember, it's a short week.
yeah, Memorial Day
Yeah.
is Monday. Tuesday, I'm free all day, otherwise it has to be after 3.
What day you open, Rand?
Tuesday,
Tuesday?
yeah.
The 28th.
28th?
I'm sorry,
28th.
How's your schedules, gentlemen?
Works for me between 1 and 3.
29th,
28.
28th.
Tuesday?
Yeah, I gotta bury my sister that
I'm
day.
all next week.
Oh, yeah, you're leaving.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. You guys can do all
1 to
the
3?
work.
1 to 3 Tuesday? Does that work?
28th, and that's asset management.
Yep.
So does someone want to make a motion for that effect?
So moved.
Support.
1 o'clock.
Yep, 1 o'clock. You gonna leave it open? And just say
Just start at
1
1, yeah,
Okay.
start at 1.
Asset management work session. So that'll be noticed to Kirk and Isaac to have something to us
Before that.
before that. Yeah, and actually, like Friday would be good, so we can look at it over the weekend.
Well, you should have it earlier than Friday, because I told them last
But at least-
week to put it together, so.
Okay, I did too, actually. I talked to them for quite a while last week. Okay. Did we even vote on that?
Not yet.
We did, we got motions and, okay. Did we get a motion?
I'll make a motion, we set the work study for the 28th at 1 o'clock.
We already did.
Yeah, we did.
Second it
Okay.
then.
Thank
We
you.
did.
I'm getting tired.
Voting on it. Just vote.
I need my
Aye.
medicine before I start coughing again. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Monday, Tuesday, May 28th, 1 o'clock, asset management work session. All right. Schedule a work session to discuss upcoming state marijuana legislation. Should we wait till you get back, Ernie?
Well, you don't have to.
Well, no, I like having a full board on all this stuff.
When you leaving, Ernie?
Next week, I have to go to Appleton so next week is pretty well out.
So when are you back, though?
First, Saturday the 1st.
First of June, okay, so that first week of June, we could do something.
Let's try a Wednesday if we can.
Wednesday'd be the best for me, Wednesday the
Fifth.
5th.
Work for me.
Any certain time, or how's your
1 to 3?
calendars? Wednesday the 5th,
Make a motion, Dave.
Dan's looking at his.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have anything until evening.
1 o'clock again? Okay,
On the 5th of
of June, that's my anniversary. Let's make it early. 1 o'clock again?
Reggie doesn't care.
Oh, that was a heads up, by the way. June 5th.
That was smooth.
I forgot he came in. Okay, 1 o'clock, work session on upcoming state marijuana legislation.
Need a motion.
Pass that down.
Support?
I'll move
guess
it. I'll move it and trustee Everson supported.
Okay.
And you're gonna make the medical marijuana part of that discussion?
Yeah, yep, we'll do all of that MJ stuff. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go, gentlemen, there's your answer. Wednesday, June 5th at 1 o'clock, we will talk about it. Yeah, thank you. All right, then we have a second reading on amendment to the noise ordinance fireworks. It's identical, nothing's changed.
Nope, I took it out of your meeting of the 16th packet.
I'd make a motion to approve the second reading of the noise ordinance.
I'll second it.
Discussion, questions?
Roll call vote due to changing in the ordinance.
Yep,
As long, there's no changes at all?
None.
just a
Okay,
second reading.
that's fine.
Okay, go ahead, Randy.
Trustee Wiegand.
Yes.
Trustee LaRue.
Yes.
Trustee Everson.
Yes.
Trustee Marks.
Yes.
Treasurer Johnson.
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes, and Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
That motion carries 7-0. So now it'll be published and then it'll go into effect, correct, Randy?
Correct.
And that's kind of what we were hoping for before Memorial Day. Okay, consider August 6, 2019 board meeting change due to August election.
So,
You.
yeah, so what's the board's preference? My preference would be
Monday?
Wednesday, because Monday becomes if it's a long, drawn-out meeting, you have a crabby clerk on Tuesday, so.
What's the change?
So,
Make a motion to that.
Oh, jeez.
Move
Mike-
that we change the meeting from,
my question is, though, before that, is I think Planning Commission has the meeting on Wednesday,
Thank you, sir.
7. So we might, so we,
What Thursday, is that workable?
no,
It's the first Wednesday.
it is, so you have 14.
You're right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we reschedule our August 6th board meeting to Wednesday, August 7th at 6:30 PM.
Support?
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
closed? Thank you. So roads won't have to change, that's it, that's that Tuesday, if you guys wanna still meet, that won't affect, that won't affect the board meeting.
No.
Okay. Okay, consider board laptops replacement. Take it away, Randy.
All right, we've been working on this for quite a while. Your laptops are aging. Basically, in the 2019 budget, we did build in funds to replace the laptops. We've been working with 906 Technologies, and they have provided an option. Board members were undecided as to whether you wanted tablets or full-size laptops, similar to what you currently have. So we have a recommendation for one of each. As always, tablets are always more expensive than laptops. The technology is just newer and different. So these are both that are being proposed here are both what I'm going to term a dumb terminal. Basically, what they are is they are a laptop just like the laptop that you have. It has all of the, it's got Word 10 on it. It's got all of the programming on it that you need to be able to access and interact with our servers to download information and to gather information. One caution, and I always give this caution, is that with a township-provided computer access, whether it's a laptop or a smartphone or whatever, if you put anything on it other than township data, that becomes FOIA-able. So I caution folks not to utilize the township-provided laptop as a personal laptop with personal information on it because it may be FOIA-able. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, so just with that caveat. But basically, the laptop, if you want the laptop, it's a 15.6-inch screen. It's a little bit bigger than what you currently have. It is an upgraded version. It has a more powerful package in it, and it will allow you to access. Do have some flexibility with selections. I do have a complete packet of background material on it. I gave you kind of the thumbnail sketch because it was so big, but I do have additional information. So that is what I'm providing to you today to replace your laptops. You have an option of either the tablet for $14.84, $14.85 round numbers each, or the laptop at $7.98 each. And those are the options that 906 is recommending.
Where do those line up with our budget for that?
They fall within the budget. They're slightly less than what we have budgeted. If all of you wanted the tablets at $14.84, there's enough in the budget to accomplish that. If you want if all of you want the $7.98, then we have some excess in the general fund that can be used elsewhere.
Or if some members
Or
don't.
some mix.
Or some members don't even need one.
Well, there's that too.
Encourage that use, we were talking about that today. I mean, all you have to do is have it on your computer. And I like to print some stuff out, but you have access to information. A lot of times I'm looking things up and getting answers in here.
Now, the original laptops are starting to fail. You've had them for almost 7 years. So, they're starting to get a little tired, and it is older programming, so your current laptops will not run 10.
I think tablets makes more sense than these big ones.
So individual decisions, you have the numbers, individual decisions. If the board members want to let me know what it is that you prefer, we can get those ordered. The laptops they have in stock, the tablets they would have to order, but it's only about 2 or 3 days.
So should we just get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can just let me know. You don't need to take an action. This is what's being recommended by 906, which is your IT provider, as the replacements for your aging laptops.
It's in the budget, so we don't have to.
So all you need is to let me know what your preference is, and we'll get it ordered.
Okay, in the next couple days.
Yep.
Put me down for a tablet. Tell you right now.
This is pretty much what it is.
Hmm?
Randy already knows I want one of those.
Yeah, you look at him so he stops by on
Okay, are we good?
tablet for me too.
Okay.
All right, if you want to tell him no.
Yeah, I dropped mine on the floor so many times. Can't sit on a, got my belly pushes it off.
Tablet will not cure
Okay.
that.
Public comment. Anybody wanna share a few words, a few comments? Okay, announcements? Who's got anything else to share? Nothing? Maybe this is good. Manager's report.
Actually, pretty straightforward. You know, the roundabouts they're in process. The roundabouts in the tunnel. Be cautious driving through there. It does get a little congested. Recognize the speed limit is now 40 miles an hour. Many people are not paying attention to that. So the Sheriff's Department and the State Police have been busy, and they will become even busier as construction proceeds. Right now, all that's happening is the infrastructure, the water and sewer infrastructure, and some of the other subsurface infrastructure is being moved out of the construction area. But once they start the actual road construction, roundabout construction, and tunnel construction, there will be very active enforcement of the speed limit. So be aware. Corridor Committee, you have the minutes. The last meeting of the Corridor Committee, their next meeting comes up on June 18th, and that will be here at the Township Hall. I'm sorry, June 11th, and it will be at MDOT TSC in Ishpeming. Calendar reminder, catch the vision. We have the car show coming up, Father's Day weekend, June 15th, 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Bring a raincoat, because it usually rains.
3 o'clock.
Usually rains towards the end of it, but it's a great event. ZBA doesn't have anything posted, but I have been getting, and I want to get the board's opinion on this, because right now, the board's position with Lions Field Ball Field and ice rink is that it is not available for commercial use by any other group. In other words, it is not available for anybody else to run their function that is being paid to participate in. I am already getting requests from outside groups to utilize Lions Field for their tournaments, which does not accrue anything to the township. Right now, your position is the only use of the field, other than just by the general public as a community field, is if it financially benefits the township through the operation of the field. So, when we run our tournaments, for instance, at Community Day in August, there is an entry fee. That entry fee comes to the township for maintenance of Lions Field. Some of these groups are looking for fundraisers for their own purposes. So before I start telling all these folks no, I just want to confirm that that is the board's position.
Dave?
Well, my opinion is that field was put together over there, the ice rink and the ball diamond, it was put together for the community. And if we start renting it out, we have an issue. Because it's not the community anymore, it's the same as.
Business.
Well, and you have a maintenance issue as well, because our staff has to prep it, maintain it.
I believe it should remain not rented for tournaments and the like, and it should remain for the community.
Were they even planning to pay us anything? They just wanted to use the field, weren't they?
Correct. Well, and last year, we had the same thing. We had a number of different groups that wanted to use the field for a tournament or for any number of reasons. Right now, the only commitment that we have for outside use is with the Marquette Senior High School Junior Varsity girls softball team and for Little League. But you'll remember that when we were renovating the field, they participated in that financially, and we are under contract for them as their home field.
That's different.
So it's a whole totally different
I don't think we should
situation.
change the policy as it currently is.
You know, the nice thing about it, the other day, I went by there and here the kiddie park was packed. There were people skating on the ice rink with rollerblades and that. The ball field, the little kids were playing ball. The tennis court, they were playing pickleball. All in, it was just wonderful to see that, And most of them were residents of the township and that, and so it was kind of great, You got to feel good about that, so. But it is being used very much so.
Okay, so we'll keep with that policy. John?
There'll always be a group or more that would like to use tax-paid-for and maintained facilities to make money for themselves. That's what we've got here, and I'm glad that our administration is alert and saying no.
Okay.
I think our public will be pleased with that as well.
Review of motions, Randy.
Try to be quick. First motion was approval of the consent agenda. That was approved. Second motion was approval of the regular agenda as presented, and that was approved. Third motion was to approve we had a lot of discussion in between, but no motions. Policy discussion was the third motion was to approve the Well Road parcel zoning map amendment, first reading, and that was approved. Fourth motion was to schedule a work session for the asset management program, which will be May 28th at 1 p.m., Tuesday. Fifth motion was to schedule a work session on the marijuana legislation and medical marijuana. That's going to be June 5th at 1 o'clock, and that motion was approved also. Sixth motion was to approve the second reading of the noise ordinance fireworks, and that was approved. Seventh motion was to change the August 6th board meeting date to Wednesday, August 7th at 6:30. I'll post that immediately. And that's it. The only action item for board members will be to let the township manager know what kind of computer you would like.
Okay, and I didn't pick up anything for the next agenda unless I missed something or if somebody else wants to.
Probably come out of your work sessions.
Yeah. Any board member comment?
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Or, yeah.
I would like to thank Chris Schwartz and, was it Gary Loonsfoot and Joe Drushy for coming up and explain more. You know, I thought I knew a little bit about what they wanted to do, but it just explained it a little bit more so we understand what they're talking about. We don't have to assume this or assume that. They did a good job of explaining and answer our question. Plus, they stayed to the end of the meeting, and most people don't stay. Thank you.
Okay. Dave, did you have something?
Yeah, just a couple things, just nickel and diming you, I guess. When you look through the treasurer's information, it seems odd that we pay staff mileage when we have a car sitting in a parking lot. And I realize it's not a lot of money, but it's $45 here, $50 there. It just seems strange that we spend that money when there's a car sitting in a parking lot. The other one is, I see we're continuing to spend money for MDOT for projects that we thought was covered, and I'm just wondering where that's going to stop, or if we have any idea what the costs are going to be for that we're not going to get reimbursed for. I see the latest one is we did a $405 payment to UP Engineers and Architects for stormwater review at the Best Buy Basin because of the roundabout project. I just wonder why we're not being paid for that.
I think we may, I'll get the list from Kirk, but most of those are reimbursables. You know, we're doing it up front and then they reimburse us.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I'm wondering what,
I'm not gonna say all of them, but.
out of all those, what's reimbursable and what's not, and I guess on the what's not category, it'd be interesting to know why, isn't it?
Okay, I'll find that out from the contracts.
And the last thing we were gonna talk about, an agenda item is a procedure or policy with respect to recovering damages for vandalism. And I haven't seen that on the agenda yet.
Okay. That's why I asked you what I need to do. And then the next one.
I'm done.
I'm sorry,
I'm
was that?
done.
Thank you.
Okay, I handed you out prior to the meeting, personal property that we have to send out for. We've sent out letters to the 5 individuals that's on the first page, which is very good. That's all we have at this point in time, which is excellent in that. On the second page, you'll see that the ones that we have to go to circuit court to strike out because they closed their doors. We didn't know anything about it, and there's not much we can do about it then. So we just have to eat whatever's there, and there's not much we can do about it at all. They closed up shop and left. And then there's some that have no assets, and there's not much we can do. They went bankrupt or whatever amounts to. So we have 5 of them out there. We have one individual that we are doing some legal work with right now at this point in time. If you look at the percentage, what we have in the township is relatively very small compared to the other surrounding townships and cities in that. We have very few overall that we have to worry about in that.
John?
Just quickly, fortunately, we was able to sit in on the MDOT meeting today, and I can report that there were no new issues that need to be reported here.
Anybody else? Randy?
Just pretty quick here. Today was a pretty busy day at the Township Hall. We had water training in this room from 8 to 12, and we had Marquette Township Business Association meeting with the board, work session from noon to 1, and then 1 to whatever they finished was the construction meeting. And just to let the residents know, all those events went off pretty good today. There was no issues, and because of the facility that we've been provided with from the residents, we can do all this stuff in the same facility and not have any conflicts. So that's really nice to do. And that's part of the reason we designed having a nice boardroom and a community room, so we can have various events at the same time with no conflicts. So community room does need an update, though. I do agree with that. For presentations. This room was really adequate for what we had in here today with the monitors and such, but the community room, for how big it is, one monitor just doesn't do it justice. It needs a much bigger screen.
And not just for us, for the people that are renting it.
Yeah, for the residents that are renting it, and for the presenters, and it needs a better sound system also.
And the issue that we're having, the discussion that we're having internally with an issue is basically just at what level does that need to be, in ceiling, drop down mechanically, or, expense-wise. So that's what we're internally discussing currently.
Do we need to flip a switch, or can we actually pull it down by ourselves?
Yeah, something like that, for another $10,000.
Dan?
Just one quick thing. Last Friday, we had an opportunity at the fire department to host a real nice event put on by Pierce Apparatus. I know a few of the board members did go and look at a few of the nice pieces. They had several $1 million worth of apparatus there for us to look at. And I also like to thank Pierce for hosting that and providing good food, and thank the American Red Cross for coming over and cooking for everybody that was in attendance. It was nice. It was well done.
And it was very well attended by local departments as well from outlying areas around the township and the cities.
Mm-hmm.
I had to work, I couldn't get there. Can you do it again?
Probably not.
Did you order anything?
Yes, I did. I signed for Lynn Durant, supervisor, so it'll be just the aerial,
Oh, the
just the
microphone
aerial,
area.
107-foot aerial.
But you look at that, and if you look at our age of our fire equipment, they're getting old.
Yeah, they are.
And they're all leaking here, this is leaking the cap, it's all done, it just, one of these days, we're gonna have to bite the bullet and order one.
But
There's a
they're
nice-
operating, we're not having any problems.
They're
Operating.
operating, yes,
They're
but they're
all
getting
operating.
old and,
Right, that's right. Just
Well,
so
they
the
are.
public doesn't think that we've got
No, they're
falling apart.
they're all serviceable and and being well maintained, so they're fully reliable. But They are. You're talking, 1997 is the one, so I mean, they're getting long in the tooth. Even though they're not used a lot, I mean, it's short runs, we don't do long distance runs unless we have to go up the Gold Mine Road or something like that. But remember, the residents did step up and passed a millage in the last election, so we are accumulating funds specifically for replacement of apparatus. So we are looking to be ready to do that.
John?
I agree. I think the presentation was really well-prepared and well-handled. I personally went through every one of the trucks that they provided. I did not go up in the aerial. But I did volunteer Lynn's name again.
I want to thank Mike, too. Well, thanks, gentlemen, for coming, too. That was very educational.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, but I want to thank Mike, too, because we've all given him grief over the last few years about, lengthy presentations, but they are...
Not me, Mike.
They are top-notch. You do that's a lot of hard work and effort, and I appreciate that. Because visuals, I like visuals, too. And with pictures or words or whatever, and I appreciate that. And I know you're going to retire soon, and that's sad for the township. But thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I need one more motion.
So moved.
Support.
What time is it?
8:41.
Only Patrick-
Why'd you steal my pen?
Okay.